Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of Day 4 with the man Frank SCALISH. Back from, we had a week off. We did a lot of work behind the scenes. We have some new things that we are going to be introducing. We have a new color. We have an in-depth show today.
Yeah.
And we have show number 191. What's up, Frank?
Big deep dive today, guys. Big deep dive. We're just, it's so funny, dude, because you got hammered with the illness when I left. I just got a little scraping of it, really.
Yeah, no, I've been under the weather, still under the weather, but we're back. We're not better than ever yet, but we'll get there. Today's show is a great stride into, boy, we've got a lot of stuff that we put a lot of hours and a lot of people put a lot of hours behind that we've been teasing on day 4 that we are now going to introduce.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It was it was a little process going through getting everything coordinated, and then of course, as usual, when it comes to I don't know, computers, and I always seem to have a problem.
Yeah, I don't know, something's going on with the audio right now too with the new mic.
Oh, is it my mic?
Yeah, can you go a little bit closer to can you go back to the old one?
Yeah, in about 1 second.
Yeah, go back to the old one. For some reason, this has like a tinny sound. Like Justin said, it sounds like Frank's talking through a can.
Okay, well, that's really cool. I'm really happy about that since I just bought it.
Well, we might be able to figure it out, but I didn't know we were doing a mic switch and it sounded good in the pre-show meeting.
Don't worry about it. I will handle said microphone.
Okay.
Right now.
It could just be what people are getting used to. We'll see if this picks up Frank's audio. I still hear audio.
We are back.
Oh, yeah. That's so much better.
Okay.
I don't know why that other mic sounded so much different. We might have to go through and work with some of the equalization levels.
Well, clearly I will have to spend more money on a microphone.
What was wrong with that mic?
The padding on the ears fell off.
Oh, I gotcha.
And so it crushes my ears.
Oh, I gotcha. So you're playing injured.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm playing with an injury.
All right. First things first, new color drop happens today on lurenet.com. One of the 600 limited edition and numbered signature series Frank SCALISH drops. It's been a while since we've actually been able to introduce one of these on the day that is dropped. Do not worry, folks. You have not missed it yet. It is not dropped on lurenet.com. That is going to happen momentarily, but kick things off, Frank. What is the February color of the month?
Okay, and because this is a very timely release, it's on the Suspending Rattling Rogue. The color is called Bay Anchovy. And if you guys have ever seen a bay anchovy, they have pink hues on the shoulder. They have kind of a silvery lateral line. They're semi-transparent. So I do have the gut on them as normal. And this is an exact duplication of an actual bay anchovy.
Now, what is a bay anchovy, Frank?
Okay, so basically, in my endeavors of fly fishing, there is a bait fish called a bay anchovy, and it's a saltwater bait fish. And to tie the flies to look like them, we would have to use synthetic fibers because you wanted them transparent, but you needed that pink hue. And so we would tie them with synthetic pink fibers under the shoulder, and then a tan fiber on the back. So when the fish is looking up at the bait, it can see the pink pearls through the bait. And so I tried to mimic that, with a jerkbait, because it's very cool looking, and it actually looks alive in the water because it's so transparent on the belly, and you can see through the bait to the pearls on the back.
There it is. There it is right there.
There it is in living color. or in living photography. So anyway, that's the bay anchovy, but you can see the pink pearls on the shoulder blades of it, the silvery lateral line, and then of course you have the muscle lines below the lateral line where the tail comes in. It's very, very cool bait. It releases today, probably very soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's out there now. It says that it's out of stock. I would assume that it hasn't. I mean, it hasn't gone live yet.
I hope it's not out of stock. Because it's not out of stock. It's just it hasn't gone live yet.
Yeah, see, this is the way people that they do it. So that if you go into the custom lures and then do the signature series, there it is. Oh my God, we've got a video. We got to watch the video.
We got to watch. Did I? Yeah, I think I did the video.
Yeah, okay. We got to watch the video. Hold on. Let me get to it here.
That is so funny, man. What a cluster.
All right, 1 second. I got to make sure. Stop screen, present, share screen, because we gotta share it with audio. You know what I'm saying?
I think I do. All
right, here we go.
Oh boy.
You are
This month's signature series is Bay Anchovy. I put this on the classic suspending rattling rope. In cold water, nothing beats a suspending jerkbait. During this time, bass have a tendency to feed up. The Bay Anchovy was designed specifically with this in mind. The semi-transparent layering of pearls with a solid stomach looks like a true baitfish and is exactly what the bass see while feeding up. The beauty of this color is it represents all types of baitfish from the bottom up. My signature series is a collectible. Each package is numbered from 1 to 600, and every bait has my signature on it. So whether you fish them, collect them, or do both, go to lurenet.com and stay tuned for the next Frank Scalish signature series release.
Boom.
Never gets old.
No, that's phenomenal. So, congratulations. How many more are there, Frank?
For this year, I think we got 2 or 3 left, maybe.
It's like Pokemon cards.
I can't keep track. Honestly, I mean, to be honest with you, I paint the signatures, I paint the limited runs, I paint for the lines, for the brands.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard for me to keep track.
I know. You were showing me when you were here some colors that you weren't supposed to be showing me, and they'll cool. Knock your socks off. Don't forget, use capital BTL 25, 15% off regularly priced items at lurenet.com. So when that drops, anything that's regularly priced, throw that code in. Helps us and helps you guys save a little bit of money.
100%. The cool thing about the release today, and I really wasn't thinking about it when I prepared for the show today, but because I thought about this show actually when I was with you, Matt, in Oklahoma. We talked a lot about live scoping when I was with you because we were doing a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started thinking on my way home. I got like this pit in my stomach on the way home, and it wasn't from the flu. I
rub it in.
Yeah, sorry, bro. But I all of a sudden I thought about how I grew up fishing, how I learned how to fish, all my traditional fishing knowledge, and I thought, oh my gosh, I literally could throw that out. If I wanted to, I could throw it out, sort of. And it made me nervous for a minute because I'm like, wait a second, that's not accurate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not accurate. And I actually called Frankie, and I was talking to Frankie, and I'm going, it'd be kind of cool to fish the NPFL and no live scope would be kind of fun to do. And then I'm like, what am I talking about, man? Because I use live scope to fish conventionally because it helps me. Every cast is accurate, whether I'm seeing a fish or not seeing a fish. All my casting is accurate. So I said, I want to do a deep dive on the next show, which clearly is today, and I want to cover late winter, spring suspending jerkbait locations. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over how to find the best possible locations, putting the fish exactly where you need them to catch them on suspending jerkbaits conventionally. Live scope's a bonus, but you don't need it because I've done this my entire life without it, and have been insanely successful. And the crazy thing about it is there's on some of the lakes that I fish, there's some of my favorite late winter, early spring jerkbait locations that when I did get live scope and then I went to those areas and fished them the way I normally do, not using scope to find the bass, it actually helped me with my accuracy in casting. I wasn't wasting casts. If it was a grass lake, I was making accurate casts at the deep immature grass. If it's a structure lake, I'm making accurate casts over the stumps or the rock piles, et cetera, et cetera. So this was the brainstorm I had driving home. So I drew a bunch of maps to go over. I have, with the new technology that we have, this is going to blow your guys' minds because this makes choosing your location even easier, and it's accurate. So without further ado, I think we're going to jump right into this. Okay, so when I say late winter, early spring, that's vastly different from north to south. It's very different. So like when I was with you, Matt, we had 39-degree water temperatures. Hell, the lakes glazed over for a day and a half,
right?
Completely, which is not normal in your neck of the woods, okay? But it illustrates what we go through up north. Our lakes will freeze, and so what I'm talking about when I talk about late winter, early spring is ice out conditions. So from ice out conditions almost all the way to the spawn is what we're looking at. So where you guys don't freeze, you're going to look at water temperature. You're going to look at water temperature from 39 to 50 degrees or a little bit higher is going to put you in the main range. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to go by ice. You can go by water temperature. So understanding that, there's a few things that I look for when I'm doing this, because you want to narrow your search down. When you're on these massive lakes, you have to narrow your search down because the days are still not super long yet. So time is an issue. So here's what I look for. Traditionally, 45-degree sloping banks, but it's not just any 45-degree sloping bank. They got to be adjacent to spawning areas and or pockets or small creek arms, because that's where the bass are going. Remember, everything we're doing is predicated on bass behavior based on season. So we know the bass are going to be gradually moving towards their spawning areas. So we're looking for 45-degree sloping banks. Rock is great, but it doesn't have to be rock. It could be there could be standing timber on them. There could be stump rows on them, grass on them. Doesn't have to be rock, but the traditional 45-degree bank is for a reason, because when the bass go to these places, they don't have to travel far to feed. They just have to go up or down, which brings me to the next thing I look for, and that's bluff ends. And when I say bluff ends, I look where the bluffs go down the lake, and then where the bluff starts to peter out and break down. Usually it's because there's a drain, a pocket, or a small creek arm at the end of it. So it breaks down. Again, this is putting the the bass in close proximity to where they're going to go spawn. And so that's why bluff ends are important. Sometimes you can get them paralleling the bluffs, because once they get there, or once they're using them, they're going to gravitate towards one end of it or another end of it, depending on which pocket is better for spawning. The next thing I'm going to look for is flats with extremely defined creek channels in them, because the bass will use those creek channels as an element to suspend over or to run up into the spawning areas. They'll use that as like a roadmap, so to speak. And so that's what I look for in the flats. Now, if it's got grass on it, stumps, rocks, etc., all the better. It just makes it better. It's not 100% necessary, but if you have those cover elements on that particular piece of structure, it's way better. The next thing I'm going to look for is ditches. Now, and I have maps. I'm going to go through every one of these except for the 45-degree bank and the bluff ends, because we already know what those are. So ditches. A ditch is a very defined depression. Okay, it could be main lake pockets. It could be on the main lake. It could be in creek arms. Ditches you could find everywhere. Very high percentage location. Basically, the ditch forms, and you got places around the ditch where the bass could suspend, feed, etc. Again, near spawning areas. This is critical. Near spawning areas. Now, drains. Okay, so drains, ditches, they all have, depressions. What's the deal? So here's how I'm going to categorize it. Okay, a drain is a very defined creek channel. Essentially, doesn't mean that you won't find it 300 yards offshore on a Texas lake, or right up against the shoreline on any other lake. The depth of the drain is irrelevant, but here's what you need to remember about the drains. Usually they're in the form of small pockets, small creeks, etc. Drains are active. This is the key. Drains that are active, meaning if it rains, water pours in, you now have you now have an opportunity for your stable conditions to become unstable. If the lake is clear and you get rain and you look and you see a drain, chances are, if it's blowing muddy water on a lake that's usually cleaner, you're not going to have the success in that area. So you want to look for ditches at that point, because they don't have active runoff coming in them. Now, this works on main lake, and this works in the creeks. But this time of year, if I'm fishing these elements that I just laid out, early in the late winter, early spring, in the creeks, I'm generally going to focus my attentions on the first third of the creek, meaning from the mouth of the lake, a third of the way back. As the water warms, your fish are going to start to progress farther and farther up the creeks. But we're not talking about the spawn. We're talking about late winter, spring, early spring. So generally, I can wipe out a lot of water just by knowing what my seasonal patterns are. And just remember the difference between a drain and a ditch. A ditch is not active. In other words, it's not usually affected by runoff, where a drain will be. So you have to keep that in your head, because dirty, cold water in clear lakes is a no-no. But in lakes that are always dirty, it doesn't matter, and therefore the current could make these fish put on a feed better, because the bait fish will be in there. And usually if it's dirty water, it's going to be gizzard shad, because from episodes past, we know that blueback herring can't tolerate muddy water, and threadfin shad don't like muddy water. So at that point, your main forage base will be gizzard shad. So if your lake doesn't have gizzards in it, then you got to find the clean water, and that's just the way it goes. So let's let's I'm going to pull a map up, I think. Let's
All right.
go let's go map 1. We're going to call this a main lake pocket. It's a ditch. It's not a true runoff, okay? So what I have here is can you see this? Because I can't
Yep.
see my.
Perfect.
So what you have here is you have the ditch that comes in. And you see it's dead-ended. There's no runoff. There's no nothing. It's just a ditch. All right. But if you notice, I've got spawning areas here. Everything in yellow is a spawning area. So this is where the fish are going to go to spawn. So what excites me about this location more than anything is right here. I have a big flat that comes out almost all the way to the ditch edge.
Mm-hmm.
This is where all the bass are going to stage. Everywhere in pink is where these bass are going to stage early in the spring. There will be some back here where the gut ends. So you have to check that. But the high percentage areas are right here and right here. Those are your high percentage areas. I like this a lot because I have shallow water here. I have a big flat of, 8 to 10 feet here. And then it drops right off the edge of the flat into 14 and then right into the river channel. The fish don't have far to go to get where they want to go, and they will stack in these areas. Sometimes you'll be literally casting over the gut. Sometimes you'll be fishing on the flats.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my go-to locations when I'm looking at ditches. Okay. Now, a drain, on the other hand, although they look similar, what you see here is you have active runoff coming in here. That's an active drain. So what happens in this location here is if I know that I have a spring that's not heavily rain, it doesn't have a lot of weather events in it, I'm looking for these because drains are more defined. They're usually way more defined because they're active. Again, if you notice, I've got flats on it located, deep water off the edge of the flats, and I have lots of spawning potential here. Main river channels over here. The fish come right out of the deep water because in the wintertime, you're going to be fishing for them out here. As spring progresses, you're going to start fishing for them in here. And so that's the difference. Now, let me show you something really cool. So, well, before I go into that, no, I'm going to go into that. All right. So what we have, we're going to pull up so I got a hold of the Deep Dive app, which really excited me. At first, I didn't.
That's what we've been working on, folks, for
Yeah.
a long time. Like there's some potential to do some things with it that was beyond Frank and I's capability, but fortunately, the folks over at Deep Dive knew how to handle it. So we've been in a lot of meetings with them recently.
A lot of meetings. So here's the cool thing. So we just talked about ditches and drains. How do you find them? Well, you got to get in your boat. You got to run all over the lake and you got to look for them, right? Well, now with this app, you don't have to. So what I have here is I pulled up it's a random lake. Okay. And I literally just picked a random lake. So on my app, you'll see, let me back up. So on this app, all right, so I'm looking for active drains.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to find ditches. So here's what I'm going to do. So if I scroll through the app and it says here, water inflows, and I click on it. You see over here now where the purple,
that's all of the inflows that are coming into that
lines,
lake.
Right. Those are active drains. If you notice over here, there's no inflow of water.
Are you drawing on the screen too, Frank?
Yeah, I'm doing it while we
My
talk.
God, we've got the John Madden of bass fishing.
Right. So if you notice now, that made it really easy for me to see active drains.
Yep.
Okay. Now,
so the one in the middle, circle the one that's not an active drain. There it is. And you can tell the ones that are active because you can literally see the creeks coming in.
Right. You can see the creeks coming in on them.
Yep.
In purple. So here, if I shut that off here, I'll just zoom out a minute. If I shut that, the drains off and I just go to there, wait, shut them off. Where's my drains? There we are. So if I just go to that and shut them off.
Mm-hmm. You can see the drain coming in, but it's not showing it down.
Right. So here, let me show you something here, because now I'm going to zoom out. So what I have on now is I have my wind.
Yep.
So all these arrows here, let me do this. So all these arrows here are showing you wind direction. The intensity of the wind hitting on the banks that you're going to fish will be right there like that. So the higher intensity is on those banks, the greater the wind affects that bank.
So we'll be able to utilize that during the wind shows that we do the whole year.
100%. So why is that important? Okay, so here. So if we go back to here, I know that if I'm fishing that jerkbait, that the wind is actually blowing this way into the bank. This is a high wind spot. This is a high wind spot. So I know that when I make my approach, I'm going to have to approach this area this way and fish to this direction. So I'm always fishing into the wind. That's going to give me better boat control. Now, let's do this. Let me go back to our drains. Okay, so now we go back to the drain. So here's what I want to show you. Watch this. So I can scroll out on this map. Oops, I forgot to shut my thing off. Hey, give me a break. I'm just sorting this. So I can go back to my map and I can see right here where all the active drains are. Now here's a sneaky one, right? So here there's a drain right here that's right there, right? And then if you look, it's not hardly anything of a pocket. But if you look on the map, you can see right here. Oops. You can see right here. Oh yeah, okay. You can see the edge line from where that drain's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're jerkbait fishing, you put your boat out here and you're casting up to this edge over here. So this app is really cool. It shows you a lot of different things. And now the other thing that it can show you, which is wild, is it can show you mud lines. So why is a mud line important? Well, we just established that if you're fishing clear lakes in the spring, the mud's going to be a problem for you. You know what I mean? So if I go on here, and I don't know if this lake's going to be dirty or not. So we're just gonna have to see.
It may not have
it
watercolor on it.
It doesn't have the watercolor on this particular lake, but I can show you another lake, so I will.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, this is the deep dive app. This is one of the cool things that they've been working with, that we've been working with, to where Frank has the ability to mark up the map. Not available on the PC, but if you guys want to go into it, it's literally just an app called the Deep Dive app. It's like, I want to say like $60, $70, $80 for an entire year for the premium membership. And if you just want to watch us use it throughout the year, awesome. If you want to apply it to the lakes that you live on, awesome as well. But very looking forward to working with this throughout the rest of 2025. Now, no longer will I have to pull up maps or anything. Frank can just
I'm excited about it. But anyway, it has the mud lines in them and stuff. I'm trying to pick a lake where was rain activity recently, so I can show you something. Here I got
pretty cool
right here. So we'll go into that. We'll put the mud line in. Okay, so now check this out. I know there was rain down here, so I can do it. So now we're looking for drains, we're looking for stuff, and then you can see here the muddy water, where the mud water is, and how it's gradually clearing as it runs out. Dirty water gradually clearing. So if you're looking at that, right, you know that if you're going to start fishing your jerkbait areas, that you're going to concentrate in this area here. because
Mhm.
you have the best water clarity for a jerkbait.
And now one of the other things, if you get to that, like to say you haven't been on the water, is show them how on the bottom there you can actually look at the 30-day history of the water clarity in that section between those two marks, Frank.
Yeah, so you can scroll through, see where I'm moving my thing.
So you can tell that that's been fairly stable water over the past 30 days. It's
Right.
actually gotten a little bit more colored.
Correct. And so you can I keep forgetting that.
Yeah. You'll work with that. John Madden wasn't
Yeah.
Picasso on day one.
But you can see how back here, you can see how back here, this is all dirty. It's all blown out back here. And you can see where the water line actually starts to get clean again.
Now, I would assume if you threw the drains on the water and flow in on that, then it would show. I mean, where all the dirty stuff you'd see is because there's water that's flowing in there.
Right. So we'll go back and we'll look for the drains. So now you can see all the active, you can see all the active drains pouring into these places, like, okay,
Zoom out a little bit.
like there.
Yep.
There.
Then you can see how it's muddy in the back.
Right. And then
Which is freaking awesome.
Right. So now I got to find my lake again, and I put a red dot on it, so hopefully I could find it a little easier. Yeah, because I got something to show you guys.
All right.
While I'm looking,
while Frank is looking on that, I do want to go back to the share screen. The Smithwick suspending rattling rogue in Bay Anchovy is live right now as of 9:02 a.m. on February 6th with the 600 limited edition live and in stock right there with the SCALISH. So I want to see it on.
So I made a mistake.
There it is right there. What?
I made a mistake. I put a red dot on it so I wouldn't lose it, and then I deleted it.
Oh no! Yeah, you did.
Because I'm not used to the app.
You can just look up that lake on the app.
Yeah, but it should be right here. Let me see. Tennessee.
I heard of that lake, Frank.
Yeah, I didn't either. I told you it was flipping random. It was random.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember where I saw it now.
Yeah, this is the deep dive app. Like I said, working on it last year. We were hoping to have it in January, but now Frank will be able to show water clarity, wind effects, inflow, and then draw right on top of it.
Yeah, so let me find Tennessee.
You should be able to just type in the name of the lake.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was some weird name, wasn't it?
Yeah, so let me go to Old Hickory. So I'm typing in the name of the lake right now.
Here, we'll show it. You can show it just like that. Boom. And then it's good.
So, all right. What did I do that was not accurately correct here?
I don't know. You're good. There's Old Hickory right there.
Where?
You're just up in the river. Go to your left. Other left. You're way up the river now.
Got it.
There you go.
Got it. Okay, so now I know that lake was near here.
Oh, you're still trying to find the other lake now?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the other lake, for crying out loud.
I wish you could.
It's driving me crazy.
I wish you could remember which one it is. Does anybody remember what the name of that lake was that he was showing the stuff on it first? It was small.
It was a smallish lake, but not. It was right by Old Hickory.
Yeah.
Wasn't Percy?
No. You're going through the growing pains with us right here.
Yeah, you guys are feeling this out right with me now.
No. It was like a multiple 3-letter word, 3 letters, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like something. Anyway, so at any rate, so this is what this app can do for you. And I have drawn maps accordingly. And one of the spots, and I want to find this dang lake again because there was a spot on this lake that is exactly like a place that I fish, and it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, you had it totally dialed in.
Yeah.
Now you're all the way down into Chickamauga. We're doing the TVA greatest hits right now.
Yeah, and
it was a little bitty lake. I don't think it's going to show up at that distance, right?
It will, because I found it doing this.
Yeah.
Anyway, how disappointing.
Look out, Shoals Lake.
Oh yeah, who did that? Who remembered that?
Who do you think would come through on the goods like that? None other than Trailer Rick.
Dude, way to go. There we are.
That's okay. Everyone bailed on the show to go order the Smithwick Bay Anchovy Rogue. So
okay, so one of my favorite spots on a lake at home that I fish, okay, is I'll show you this. Let's go back to me. So over here, this is a main lake point that comes out. This is an active drain that runs in. I have a big giant flat over here and then another pocket over here. So I was looking on this map and I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks exactly like a place at home that I fish. And so I have a defined creek channel. So here I got a big flat, 4 to 6 feet. It drops off to 5 to 10, then goes out to the river channel. And it goes 14 to 22 almost immediately. So it's almost bluffish right in this area. This is one of my best springtime jerkbait places. So if you go back to the deep dive app real quick, okay, this area right here is exactly how it looks. So I have the drain that comes in here. My flat comes out here like this, and then it goes into what is a ditch over here. So the one illustration I showed you guys of the ditch, the ditch part.
Yep.
Oops, upside down. That is here. The drain is here. So go back to my map. So the ditch is here, and the drain. We're not going to draw that. The ditch is here, and the drain.
One episode before we get canceled.
Right, and the drain is there. So this spot is incredibly. This spot stood out to me like a sore thumb because it's literally exactly like what I fish at home. So now I want to talk about the jerk baits, because I talked about location, but now we have to talk about the jerk bait. So my jerk bait boxes are absolutely flat full. Okay, I have jerk baits that range from 4 feet. I'll say 4 feet, but I fish them in a lot of times. I'll fish them 2 to 4, and then I have jerk baits that go 4 to 8, and then I have ones that go from 8 to 11, 12. Okay, so I'm putting this away right now because I don't think I'm going to use it now. But here is. I want to show you this, because here's the deal. So in all these places that we talked about, okay, you have depth ranges, and you're going to figure out where the bass want to be in these depth ranges. And when you do that, you're going to have a jerk bait appropriate. So here's what happens. Ice out. We know our water temperature is 39 degrees to 50 degrees. The colder the water, the less distance a bass will travel to get the jerkbait, and or the more off-color the water, the less distance a bass will travel to get your jerkbait. So in gin clear water, they'll move far to get it. Even though it's frigid and freezing out, they'll move far to get it because they can see it, they'll track it down, and you got to keep it above them. If the water gets more off-color and more off-color, their strike window shrinks. Their urge to chase goes down. Now you got to put that bait right on the strike window. This is why I have suspending jerk baits of every single depth, because I have a diagram. Where did I put it? Okay, so This is why I have jerk baits of every single depth. So if I'm fishing in these ranges over here, I know this is 2 to 5, this is 8 to 15, and then this could be, 20 feet or more out here. So I have jerk baits that will get right down to the bass at whatever level they're at. Because if they're not chasing far, I could catch these deeper fish with a shallow running jerk bait if they're moving far to get the jerk bait. But if they're not, if their strike window is small, I got to put a jerk bait right down at their suspension level. Or if they're relating to the bottom, get it right down so I can get right above them. So if I know if I'm in cleaner water, like here, like on Lake Erie a lot of times, back in the day, I used to catch more smallmouth on a Pro Rogue than damn near any jerkbait ever. And that Pro Rogue only gets down about 7 or 8 feet, but I was catching these smallmouths out of 15 and 20.
Right.
But the water was so clean that they could see so far away that they would literally come up for that jerkbait. If the water was off color, I needed a jerkbait to get down to them, a deeper jerkbait to get down to them, because they wouldn't come up and commit to it. So now with live scope, you could see that if you're doing your jerkbait and the bass comes up and then goes back down, but never gets close enough to your jerkbait, you got to go to a deeper jerkbait. So you can learn a lot from that behavior pattern. So what happened in the old days when I was throwing the Pro Rogue all the time, we didn't have jerk baits to get down there. So I took the Bomber 24A, okay, which, as you all know, because we've done shows on them before.
Is this the goods? Is this the box that was at the house?
Yeah. So I took the Bomber 24A, I put lead tape on the belly, clearly repainted it, and then added lead weight on the hooks for a perfectly neutral buoyancy. This bait suspends like a champ, right? But I can get this on 8-pound test line. I can get this down almost 12, 13 feet. So now I had a bait that gave me the ability to get down to where the deeper bass were. So on the Great Lakes, I started leaning heavy on the Pro Rogue and then the 24A, which was critical. And this is actually the 24A that I started with, the one with the insert in it. And then I put the lead tape on the belly. And this particular one, I clear coated it like 5 times to add the weight to it, which was trial and error because some of them I sank. I put too much clear on them and then sank them. But this was what I used. Well, then what happens is now other jerk baits are coming out and they have deep diving jerk baits. So this box here, my suspending 24A box is always in my boat because I catch them year round on it because of the depth range I'm looking at these fish at. So since I'm on the deep stuff, we're gonna go with the deep stuff. So then of course the Perfect 10 came out, and the Perfect 10 was originally a bass jerkbait. The Smithwick Perfect 10 was originally a bass jerkbait, but I had painted some walleye colors in it for the walleye guys, and the walleye colors took off like gangbusters, and it became a walleye bait, which was to my dismay because we didn't put a lot of bass colors in it. So one of the bass colors that we did put in it was lace minnow, which was soon to be discontinued because the walleye guys didn't want it. But as a bass guy, I wanted it. This gets the brunt of my work. Now, here's the crazy thing: big giant jerkbait. All right, compared to your regular jerk baits, and I'll just pull this one out here. Compared to regular jerk baits, big giant jerk bait. All right. So what happens is I start experimenting with this bait, and I can throw it on 10 or 12, 10, or 8. And I started throwing it on 8 because on 8-pound fluoro, I can keep this bait 10, 11 feet deep. And that's really what I want it for. If the bass are shallower, I'll have another rod with 10 or 12. And then I can throw it on 10 or 12. and shallow it up a little bit. So if the bass preferring a bigger bait, then I can shallow it up, and it shallows up real nicely, and it works just as good on 12 or 10. It's not hurting the action. So once I got dialed in on the perfect 10, that started getting a lot of attention for me late winter, early spring. I really started catching a ton of bass on it when the bass weren't eating smaller traditional sized jerk baits. And then what was happening was I was also catching a bigger bass, which was really my goal, was to upgrade the size. So from there we go to jerk baits of today, okay? Because I'm gonna call anything Smithwick Rogue, I'm gonna call the jerk bait of yesterday. It's old school, lazy action, slow, lazy, doesn't hardly do the same thing twice. That's what makes them so exciting. And that's what makes them so effective. The colder the water, the better the dang bait works. It's just the nature of the Smithwick Rogue. But with the advent of all these new jerk baits today, and I have a bunch of them, and I'll be honest with you, you're seeing what I fish with. This box here is my deep box. I got Strike King jerk baits in here. I got the Booyah Flashpoint Deep, which I love this bait. I had a chance to experiment with them because I painted some of them, and so when I got the blanks, I painted them for myself, and I got to experiment with them before they came out. This bait is very unique. I'm not even talking about the blade flash from the head or how it shows up on live scope. That I don't even care about that. What I care about is its depth range and its action. So on 8-pound fluoro, I'm getting this bait down 11 feet. On 10-pound, I'm keeping it in the 9 to 10 foot range. And so it gets down there. And the cool thing about this bait is when I do in the wintertime, it's all about your cadence. Do you want jerk, jerk, pause? Or do you want a slow pull? Shake the rod tip, pause it, pull it, pause it. You know, how do the bass want the jerk bait? I can feel this jerk bait move when I'm slowly pulling the line through the water. And I like that because I know there's no debris on it, there's no grass on it, and I know it's working. That's really what I care about on the jerk baits, and its suspension characteristic. It's true. It's a true suspending jerk bait. It literally just hangs there, and that's the other thing that I want to do. I have other deep diving jerk baits. I have Strike King's 300D, which I can't pull out, but I'll pull out the one that I painted. This is one of my hand painted ones. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, when I look through your boxes, this will shock a lot of people. Not a lot of Japanese jerk baits. It is almost all the old, the Booyahs, the Rogues, the Excaliburs, and the Strike Kings.
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm looking for certain characteristics in a jerk bait. I want to feel it when I move it. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, I mean I want to feel either it vibrating, or I want to, like with the Rogue, I feel it go whoom, whoom, whoom. I can feel that laziness on the Rogue. I can feel on the deep. I can feel it, you know, pulling against me. And that's really what I'm looking for. And so, you know, and then the other thing is the size of the bait. I'm also interested in the size. Like I have a couple of 6 cents little guys, a couple of 6 cents little guys. This bait I'm only getting down about 7 feet on 8-pound, but it's got a small profile. So when they're not eating the giant profile, I can go to the small profile, which is another reason why the Flashpoint Deep excited me, because it's a longer bait, but it's got a nice thin profile, and it looks so real in the water. And so I wanted that, and I got to fish them before they came out. And I was really happy with that. And I have colors coming out in these too.
Before we go back to that, so this that you brought that 24A. We're gonna show this, not to make fun, but to
to make
learn
fun of
from.
me.
So pull that old school
Okay, I'm
bomber
gonna
out. So this is that one you showed is the actual bait from the world's greatest fishing show that you did with Zona,
yeah.
correct?
Yeah,
So here we'll
I
see. I
have
think
the-
we've got
It's a
audio.
ton of bass,
There it is.
both
Watch.
smallmouth and largemouth. And you know what? This little bay is the perfect destination. See for yourself, these guys have found some smallies.
There he is. Nice.
Is that you pulling it right there, Frank?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. See how I'm just pulling it? I'm not snapping it or anything.
This little bay is the perfect
Hold on, here we
destination.
go
See
again.
for yourself, these guys have found some smallies.
Watch this right here.
There he is. Nice. There he is. Double, dude. Yeah, they're here, dude.
So you saw when I twitched the rod tip twice real fast.
Yeah, that was a really cool little cadence that you did to get the bite.
Nice.
So I pull it down there. So now I'm getting it down to about 11 feet.
There he is.
And then once I get it down to depth, then I start shaking the rod tip and it makes the bass bite. And so like when I'm looking, like when I look at my jerk baits, like the Flashpoint Deep, the Perfect 10, etc., I want to make sure that it works at all my cadences. So there's a technique that I do in the cold water where I shake the bait, where I shake it. And I'll show you that right now because you said I got old Excaliburs too. So when I was experimenting with the Flashpoint, and when I say shake the bait, it quivers on its axis. It doesn't go like this when I shake it. It quivers like this on its axis. I look for that in my jerk baits. If I don't get this action when I'm shaking the rod, I don't want it because that's in cold water. That's the trigger. It's no different than you guys with your live scope shaking a minnow. You shake that minnow, you want that minnow to roll on its axis, right? Well, with my jerk baits, I want the same action, although I didn't know back then because we didn't have live scope. And so when I would shake the rod, I would shake it, and then I would watch my bait in the water. And if it was doing this when I was shaking, then I went to that bait. That's why all the jerk baits that I have will quiver on their axis while I pause it and shake it. That's one of the key, attributes to it, which is why when you looked at my box, I got a lot of old school stuff in here. I got the Excalibur, the original Excalibur. This bait here will literally, when I shake it, it literally just does that back and forth like that. And that's the action that I want. I even did that with untraditional baits that don't suspend, like the 14A Bomber. I loaded this puppy up with lead. It's got more lead on it than a golf club to get it to suspend because this bait will quiver like this too when I shake it. So there's reasons, there's method for the madness. There just is. A lot of what I got in here are my paint jobs that I paint for myself, clearly. But some of these are introduced into some of the Pradco brands also. There's colors coming out in the Flashpoint that I have actually been fishing with for quite a while. And they're coming out. But this is my shallow box. I don't know why I put it away. I wanted to show you. So this is my shallow box. So there's no bait in here is going to run deeper than 5 feet. This is all super shallow. There's a reason for that because I do a lot of grass fishing and I want to fish it over the top of the grass a lot. You see it says ice cold winter jerk baits. So I want to fish it over the grass a lot of times. And so I don't want them to bury up in. I want to keep them above it. So depending on how tall the grass is, depends on how deep of the jerkbait I'm going to throw, or conversely, how deep is it? Because the Flashpoint Deep, the Perfect 10, the 24A, if it's deep enough, I can use the deep ones and catch the bass that are even deeper. in those grass edges or over stump rows or brush piles, because that's another big thing. If you're fishing over stumps and brush and you don't have a jerk bait, a suspending bait that can get down deep enough, you can't pull the bass out of the brush. So you have to have a bait that's going to get you within that strike window, and that's why the deeps come into play. Another box that I have here is my big shallow baits. So I have the Flashpoint regular one, and all my suspending rattling rogues are in here.
Okay.
And you remember from past episodes, we talked about scraping the chrome off of them. So you see, I have these bone-sided ones, and I fish them. And everything in my boxes, and Matt will tell you, this is what's
ready to fish.
Yeah, this is what's in my boat.
Yep.
It's not BS. When I went down to see him and he said we're gonna jerkbait fish, I literally had one duffel bag with all those boxes in it.
And then the lake froze.
And then the lakes froze. Right. And then the
I still think on that one lake that we caught where we had the 5-pounder on, I feel like that in hindsight, we should have jerkbaited that.
Oh, 100%.
Now, you didn't have it with you, but just the way those fish were set up over the brush on the tapering point in less than 10 foot of water in 37-degree water, and they were sluggish and you could get them to follow it. Those were jerkbait fish, 1,000%.
100%. We screwed up, but I didn't bring them.
That was my fault. I screwed up by telling you not to bring them. But neither of us had ever been to that lake before.
No, and basically we didn't have that in our head. We were just going to go crappie fishing or shake a minnow over the bass. So we kept it simple. You know, we brought a couple of rods apiece, and that was it, and enough tackle to put in a shoebox.
My God, we caught the white bass. I'll tell you that.
I know. Well, I did, those rotten SOBs. You caught all the bass. I caught trash. You caught bass.
But no, that was really good stuff.
But yeah, so just remember the jerkbait game. It's all about what depth those fish are at, how big is their strike window, and the cadence. And that's why I carry so many damn jerkbaits, because every jerkbait does something a little bit different. And I have seen where it 100% absolutely matters.
There it is. It's up. It's ready to go right now. If you guys are wanting it, there it is. Suspended rattling rogue. Wonder how many full sets there'll be at the end of guys who have everything.
I don't know. It's funny because some of them are on eBay.
I know. You noticed that.
Yeah, some of them are, man, and it's wild. But I'm doing another release to raise money for the Bass Hall of Fame. I think I got Larry Nixon's baits done, Rick Clunn's baits done. Oh, they're alive, they're gonna kill me.
Roland Martin's
baits done, Bill Dance's baits done, and I got Clunn's done. I got one left to go, and I think it's Bobby Murray's bait.
Oh yeah, I was on a call the other day, and they're chatting about that.
Yeah, so
it was a late edition, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an hey, we're gonna call it an add-on. It was an add-on. So, and these colors are banging. They're like super cool. I actually talked to them about putting them in the line, and so we think we're gonna transfer some to a jerkbait color because they'll be righteous.
That was a great mix of old school and new school today, combining a lot of old school information and old school baits with some new school technology. The deep dive app will just be seamlessly as we get further and further into this as the year goes on. I'm really excited to see how that works out. So like if you get the app, so like part of the problem that's taken so long is it's not like if you get that app, you can't draw on your own app like right now. I don't think that was part of the process was
right.
We're like double and triple screen mirrored over here to make that happen.
Yeah, we had to do a lot. We had to accomplish a lot for me to be able to illustrate it here on my computer, but have it show up on Matt's. And that was the technological issues that we were having
I
setting
felt
up
like Mark Jeffries there for a while.
setting up my system. So yeah, but yeah, it's cool. And you know, for the near future, I won't lose a lake anymore.
No, it's all good. Yeah, that stuff's gonna happen. So, but next week I will be competing in the Bassmaster Open on Sam Rayburn Reservoir.
Which I'm expecting good things out of you, Matthew.
I'm expecting good things too. I'm just at the point of health where I may not have to duct tape myself to the butt seat up front, but I don't know right now. It'll be interesting to see how a full day on the water does. Dude,
Yeah.
I mean, I hit 40 and I just assumed, yeah, you know, I'll get over it and I'll be good as gold the next day after the fever breaks. Man, that stuff kicks your butt as you get older. Like I didn't understand the lingering effects. Like it'd been a long time since I've really been like, you know, the down and out with the glazed over eyes. That's where I was. But just the recovery on your body is nuts.
It's brutal. It is. It's brutal.
And I'm not bitching. There's a bunch of people that are in a lot worse shape than I am, and this is just the flu. But
yeah, I mean, I try to stay healthy too. I mean,
I know.
What are you gonna do, man? I mean,
Yeah,
it gets you, it gets you.
Yep.
You know,
you just do whatever you can do. So, all right. This has been another edition of Day 4. There's music with the man Frank Scalish. We'll talk to everybody next time. See you. Great job today, Frank. I enjoyed the hell out of that. I learned a bunch.
I'm glad. I did a little show and tell too.
Yeah, you did. All right, Day 4 with Frank Scalish as we march towards show number 200. We'll talk to everyone then. Stay warm.
You too, my man.